While out clamming early one morning, a fisherman is stunned to spot something gleaming in the mud, freshly exposed by heavy rain. An expensive-looking watch. Thinking his luck has finally turned, he grabs it and pulls hard. As the watch comes free along with a clump of mud, a stiff, deathly pale human hand suddenly juts out of the muck right in front of him. In an instant, his excitement turns to sheer terror. Amid the pouring rain, police rush to the shoreline to investigate. No one yet realizes that this single hand is only the beginning of something far more horrifying. Digging deeper through the layers of mud where the body was buried, officers uncover two more corpses, both employees of the Ujian pharmaceutical factory, bearing wounds from both blunt and sharp weapons. Investigators quickly conclude this isn't the original crime scene, but days of relentless typhoon rains have proven the perfect accomplice for the killer, washing away every trace of evidence. Just as the investigation team hits a dead end, shocking news comes in again from the shore. A third body has washed up. Unlike the first two, which had been buried deep in mud, this one has been battered repeatedly by the waves, leaving the head too damaged to identify by sight. Fortunately, an ID card found intact in the victim's pocket confirms his identity immediately. He's the third missing person. Confronted with the news of her husband's bizarre death, old Tang's wife collapses emotionally. Her daughter, Tang Ling, however, remains eerily composed throughout. A calm far beyond what anyone would expect, and one that instantly casts a shadow of suspicion over the entire triple murder case. Hoping to clear up the inconsistencies, lead detective Oldshire personally visits the Tang household, but mother and daughter both refuse to say a word in response to his questions. Most unsettling of all is Tang Ling's behavior. Her expression panicked, her eyes darting away, clearly hiding something heavy on her mind that she has no intention of revealing. Just as Oldshire prepares to press further, an unexpected visit interrupts the investigation entirely. Three senior executives from the pharmaceutical factory arrive at the Tang home, arms loaded with gifts to comfort the grieving family. The gesture appears warm and considerate on the surface, but it reeks of calculated performance. Oldshire notices something else, too. Tang Ling's reaction to the executives is one of pure aversion. When she looks at the man leading the group, Du Bing, her eyes flicker with a strange mix of fear and suppressed rage. This confirms what Oldshire had already suspected. The family's silence and Tang Ling's odd behavior likely stem from prolonged coercion, an instinct to endure in silence. And the truth turns out to be even more chilling than the murders themselves. For a long time, Tang Ling had been suffering abuse at Du Bing's hands. Still young and not yet emotionally mature when it began, she had no power to resist someone with Du Bing's influence and authority, and was too afraid to tell her family about the humiliation she'd endured. It's precisely this unspeakable vulnerability that left her unable to do anything but deny it. Again and again, whenever Du Bing probed her with feigned concern, her silence and compliance were the only means of self-protection available to her under such overwhelming power. Though Oldshire is certain something far more sinister is at play, he has no concrete evidence to act on. The crime scene has been completely compromised, and the family refuses to cooperate. Despite his deep suspicions, he has no choice but to set the matter aside for the time being. That night, Tang Ling concludes that her father had likely uncovered critical evidence of wrongdoing by the factory's leadership, evidence that threatened their core interests and got him silenced for good. Determined to confirm her suspicions and seek justice for her wrongfully killed father, she stays up digging through an old trunk he'd left behind, eventually breaking open a small, securely locked wooden box. Sure enough, inside are a series of incriminating photographs, the very truth her father had protected with his life, and the root of the crime the factory's leadership had been desperate to bury. With solid evidence finally in hand, Tang Ling doesn't hesitate. She's determined to deliver it straight to the police, but she's still far too young to fully grasp how dangerous people can be, and has no idea her every move has already been under constant surveillance by the factory's people. Before she can reach the police station, thugs lying in wait intercept her along the way. They strip her of every piece of evidence she's carrying, and then shove her violently into the rushing river. Tang Ling's sudden disappearance turns an already murky triple homicide case into a complete dead end. Even though Oldshire, drawing on years of investigative instinct, remains convinced the murders and Tang Ling's disappearance are all connected to the pharmaceutical factory's leadership, with no witnesses and no physical evidence left, there's simply no way to pin down the real culprit. The investigation drags on for years. Oldshire exhausts every avenue, combing through the case again and again, but turns up nothing new. Even after reaching retirement age, he can't bring himself to let the case go. Though he's traded his uniform for civilian life, his sense of justice never fades. One day, Oldshire happens to catch a thief stealing copper cable and chases him into a tunnel. By sheer coincidence, a private car blocks the thief's escape route, allowing Oldshire to make the arrest on the spot. But as he turns to thank the driver, he's startled to recognize him as the personal driver of the pharmaceutical company's owner. What troubles him even more is the young couple sitting in the back, strangers to him. He later learns they're journalists the company brought in from out of town at considerable expense, specifically to help manage the fallout from a recent counterfeit drug scandal and smooth over the negative press. At first, Oldshire dismisses the encounter as pure coincidence, but back home, he discovers, quite by chance, that this very couple, supposedly brought in from elsewhere, has rented the apartment directly across from his own. Most people would shrug it off, but decades of police instinct set off alarm bells immediately. Hoping to learn more about the pair, Oldshire pays them a visit after dark, bringing along 2 jars of his homemade pickled vegetables as a pretext for thanking them. The couple speaks naturally throughout the visit, appearing perfectly harmonious and without a single inconsistency. But But as Old Sher's gaze drifts across the living room, he notices a spare quilt sitting unused on the sofa. Why would a loving couple be sleeping in separate rooms? It only reinforces his suspicion. There's clearly a secret hiding behind this relationship that no one else can see. Still, he chooses not to confront them directly, not yet. The next day, while helping direct traffic outside a school, Old Sher runs into the couple again. They're on their way to the pharmaceutical factory. As they pass each other, he catches another telling detail, a large patch of raw, swollen bruising on the male journalist's arm. But with traffic backed up and cars lining up behind him at the school gate, there's no opportunity to stop and ask questions. Reluctantly, he lets the suspicion go. For now, he assumes it's just one more loose thread to keep an eye on. But before long, a far bigger development erupts. Old Sher soon learns from a former protege that Yen Bo, one of the pharmaceutical factory's 3 top executives, has been murdered. The sudden arrival of unfamiliar journalists, their carefully maintained false identity as a married couple, the unexplained injuries from what was clearly a struggle. Every thread suddenly weaves together, and it hits Old Sher all at once. This isn't an isolated murder at all. Someone is quietly reopening the case, digging back up the very beach mystery that was forcibly buried 15 years ago. And the composed, unflinching female journalist, Su Ran. Could she be Tang Ling, the girl who vanished into the river all those years ago? See you next time.